What the heck is up with the Simpsons? They're predicting the future. Does Matt Groening have a looking glass? Stay tuned on Talk is Cheap. Greetings, planet Earth and beyond. Another great episode of Talk is Cheap is upon us. My name is Pete Hobleib, coming at you from our secret lair. And of course, always with me, to my right, Mr. Dan Holfeld. How's it going, sir?
In the house. How you doing?
Good, good. Say, before I get too far, I wanted to make sure that everybody out there, we've been talking about this a lot, but be sure to check us out on YouTube, BitChute, DTube, and a very special shout out to our podcast listeners. We're picking up some folks there. Really wish you could see the video right now. Dan's not wearing a shirt, so...
That's right.
Well, actually, so the people that are watching the video can tell he is.
Oh, yes.
Dan, you're looking nice like always.
I'm not bare-chested, unfortunately, but I do have a Talk is Cheap disclosure.
Yeah, that's a new style, right? Newer style?
I've had it since the beginning. It's not a very hot seller, so I'll probably get rid of it.
Really?
At some point.
I guess I don't remember seeing that. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a retro style.
Yeah.
But it leads me back to my point. Like, we can sit and talk about stuff like with the med beds, but until we get the stuff out there, it's all talk. And talk is cheap, folks.
Yep, and cheap is talk. So.
Also, don't forget our voicemail, ladies and gentlemen, 1-256-510-5234, 1-256-510-5234. Call in, say hi, leave a message, suggestion, whatever, the whole ranks. I want to get some of these on the air again and start playing them because we are at the bottom of the barrel.
How are we doing there? Do we have anything to listen to tonight, Dan?
No, there was a topic suggestion, but until we do that topic, we can't really play it.
Yeah, right. Nothing real good substance. No more. I used to enjoy the
prank phone calls.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say prank as much as just inebriated or something. But there used to be some pretty good gems in there. Go back to that YouTube censorship, man.
Yeah,
they're screwing us every way they can. They're just
And I was talking to Pete. It's like we might just, I don't know.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Just
YouTube will come around for us.
Well, we'll see. It's should have came around. It's like, what's going on here? Getting tired of it.
Yeah,
put so much work into an episode. You get demonetized.
Have some
and that's
fun.
Fine too,
Talk about some stuff to think about, and encourage, free thinking and your own research. And then they say, no, you're not watching the main news media and getting your news from Big Brother. So
which makes me
talk.
think too, if those like ABC, NBC, if those guys would have never came on YouTube, they'd be completely dead by now. They were like that, and all of a sudden they had, we got to get a YouTube channel. And it's just so people they stay relevant. So.
Yeah, and they shout to the masses that want to hear what they're saying. So yeah, well, we're out here doing our best, Dan. Right? Keeping chugging away, talking about cool stuff. Tonight I've kind of got more of a fun episode. I don't know how serious I'm going to take myself.
I think it's good we do have a fun episode once in a while because we can talk about serious subjects and it can wear you down. We
were talking about this, after the live show last week, and it's like, man, we get these feelings of despair, and like I felt that the show started out really depressing too. I thought it ended well, and I had more time to think about that damn coin flip thing.
Oh yeah,
that's been on my mind all week too. And I looked at the video. I looked at it a couple more times.
Pretty good, huh?
And at first I thought that there was some nefarious act going on, that this guy flipping the coin was going to be, trying to rig it. And so I don't, because the video was titled "Cheated on the Coin Flip" or whatever. I've kind of come to realize, looking at it, that the guy just didn't know how to flip a coin. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it after the last show. It's like, I don't care what walk of life you're at or where you're from, but who goes through life not ever flipping a coin? That blows my mind. I'd like to hear it in the comments what your theories are out there, how somebody can go their whole life, become obviously the head of some delegate decision-making body in Iowa during the caucuses and never have flipped a coin. I don't get it, man.
There's something there.
Excuse me, I got a little stuffy nose. I think I might be battling a little bit of the CV, if you will.
Are you serious?
No, I doubt it's the CV.
Excuse me.
I doubt it's the CV, but it is a little bit of a cold, so I apologize. I got a kid in daycare. So
Diabetes.
I don't think it's diabetes, but I'm doing my best.
Type 2 adult onset diabetes.
How many different diabetes ones you got in there? You got any more in there?
That's all I got.
Okay, good. Be sure to get checked for diabetes, folks. It's a serious disease that you should be concerned about if you have certain predispositions.
Slowly but surely, it's all happening.
Yeah, diabetes. Okay, moving on. So as I kind of indicated before, like the Simpsons are just, there's this whole thing revolving around the Simpsons and how they're predicting the future.
Yeah.
Okay. And depending on where you go and you look, you can find anywhere from 10 times to 100 times the Simpsons predicted the future. I thought it would be just kind of fun. It's been like literally years I've been kind of aware of this going on, but there's been some like more recent things that have happened that kind of just piqued my interest in it enough to make me want to actually put some thoughts down and do a show about it. So we're going to start. The creator of the Simpsons, Matt Groening. He's the creator of the Simpsons. I'm not going to say anything more about that. What's cool, I want to put this as a side note. His father's name was Homer. His mother's was Margaret or Marge, and he created the Simpsons loosely based around characters and people in his family, although, he took some liberties. It's not like he described them exactly, obviously, but I thought it was pretty interesting. But I thought, if there's something goofy going on here, I thought that maybe his family came from money or some weird stuff, but I did find that his dad was a cartoonist as well, Homer. He made his success as an advertising executive and movie producer, but he was also a war hero. So that was kind of interesting. And his mother, Marge, was an English teacher before she started a family. He's got some brothers and sisters. So, I would guess upper middle class upbringing. I didn't find that, dad was like high brass military working on secret projects and his, ma was working in some weird cutting edge medical thing or whatever to suggest that maybe he was like brought into a certain culture that would be more keen on getting cool, alien technology. So anyway, pretty standard upper middle class upbringing is my impression from what I kind of dug into his family life. So I got to thinking, does Matt Groening himself or somebody around him have access to a looking glass? And if you remember, what was it, a couple months ago now, Dan, we did Project Looking Glass as an episode.
Oh yeah.
And basically what that was that as depending, I guess the most popular take on that, it was a reverse engineered technology from extraterrestrials, and it used like a wormhole technology to look at possible and probable future outcomes of events. So it's like, you could see into the future, see into the past, see into different timelines, but it was only, when you went to the future, it was only a probable. So it wasn't like you could actually see what happened because there were so many variables to the timeline that it could split. The closer you got to the event, the better it was you could see. So,
and they had the device here that I got on screen.
Oh, good. Awesome. There you go. There's a schematic of the device. And do you remember, wasn't it like at one time they had like 50 countries had these looking devices at one point? India
Dan
had
Bursch
one. Dan Bursch claimed that. So if there was that many, I got to thinking, okay, so if there's that many devices out there allegedly floating around the planet, could have somebody on the Simpsons got one and said, "Hey guys, let's write about stuff that might happen in the future."
Just keep one of those.
Yeah,
This makes me think though too, like when we think about like the Lone Gunman episode and how they did a 9/11 one, they were actually fed that from somebody in the government.
Could be, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So maybe they have so maybe their connection, and it's not, maybe they don't have this, but they've got somebody that's a huge Simpsons fan right now feeding them information.
Well, it's not
because
even that.
They
it's
have
just,
access
it's
to
just
it.
to acclimate
us to the
they're people that have to do this to acclimate the public.
Sure. Predictive programming, people call that, is that, hey, we're gonna show you stuff through TV programs or episodes or whatever, so that when events like that happen, it's not as big of a shock to you. You've desensitized a little bit to it. It's kind of like the approach you take with soft disclosure, right?
Exactly.
You feed us stuff, and so that when it does happen, we don't freak out. I don't think you and I would freak out in the same way some people would freak out. I would probably freak out inside and be like, "Oh, that's crazy," but I would like to think I'd maintain
shows
composure.
are that way. I mean, the galactic space shows and stuff. It's like, if we have that stuff, I don't think anybody's gonna have a problem with it.
Yeah. Like there's certainly a certain percentage of people these days that if they looked up and saw like alien spaceships coming down out of the sky, would just look up and go, "Huh, knew it." You know, if aliens got out of them, sort of walking around, "Yep, oh, okay, I knew. Nice to meet you," and then go about and get their Starbucks or whatever. So there's a certain percentage of people that would handle that, but I just think, my God, I know some people just even around here that just you can't even. If you try to discuss anything right outside of their narrow worldview, you're crazy. They're not going to believe it. So
well, if you can't flip a coin,
yeah, right, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to take a little bit of time and take a look at just some of the highlights of these examples of Simpsons predicting the future.
Should be fun then.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'll tell you this: when I was doing my research on this, which was nice because it was just basically like go to a bunch of different websites and really don't spend much time on either one, because you can take your pick from a lot of different examples. I did find, though, that there were some that were it was a pretty far stretch that some people were trying to make that I didn't really buy into. So anyway, moving on. The first one I want to talk about is Roy of Siegfried and Roy getting attacked by his tiger. This was first depicted in a 1993 episode, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling episode of The Simpsons, a long title. It showed Roy getting attacked by his tiger. Here's a still shot of it. Interestingly enough, I think most of our viewers probably would know this, that in 2003, 10 years later, Roy was attacked by his tiger. Some would say, boy, you work with enough domesticated wild animals like lions, tigers, elephants, etc.
And bears, oh my.
Yeah, and bears, oh my. Eventually, a mauling is going to take place. And so maybe it was just lucky. But anyway, pretty interesting, pretty cool. There's a picture of Siegfried and Roy there. And I would presume at a different show is the picture on the right. And that shows Roy getting hauled off.
Well, interestingly, before the show, we were trying to look for clips of the actual attack, and we really can't find it.
Even still photos of it that were blurred out. You can't really find it, so that's interesting.
So I don't know what's going on there. Censorship again at its best.
Yeah, Mandela effect, maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
we did find the accident here.
Yeah, I guess we did find a photo of him getting hauled off the stage there. But unless
he just had the stroke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe he did. We didn't look that far. We just grabbed a pick and went with it. But yeah, allegedly he had a stroke at some point during the attack, and some people say, it was before it and his tiger's trying to save him. Some say it was a result of the attack. Who knows? If I'm getting attacked by a tiger, I imagine my heart's pumping pretty good, so I would probably stroke out after.
Oh yes.
So there's one. Okay, I don't want to move too quick through here because I only got about 8 or so. The next one that we're going to talk about is the Tobacco episode. Now, this is one that's a stretch, but I included it for 2 reasons. One, absolutely love the Tobacco episode. 2 of my favorite things in life have been tomatoes and tobacco, so mix them together. I'm on board.
Oh.
And 2, I was able to tie in pictures of mutated fruits and vegetables. Another one of my interests.
Specialties.
Interests that I like to see. And the third one was I got to put a picture of the crazy farm animals that were all juiced out on tobacco. For those that remember the episode, there's the scene where the cow comes crashing through the wall and goes, "Tobacco." He speaks English, so that was pretty cool. So anyway, so the Tobacco episode allegedly kind of predicted the Fukushima disaster, etc. This is a stretch, like I said, because in the episode, it shows Homer, 1999. Shows the episode. Homer inherits the old family farm. He goes out there. He tries to make his way at farming. Nothing's growing, so he gets a bunch of like nuclear material from the plant and puts it out in his field. And he had mixed tobacco and tomato seeds together, and as a result, he crossbred tobacco, which was a nicotine addictive tomato food.
Think you can handle that?
So anyway, the tobacco executives get in and try to steal the stuff, and so they can get them and try to sell out. Anyway, so anyway, Dan. We had mutant vegetables grown from a nuclear, fed soil. So fast forward to 2013, a year or so after the Fukushima disaster, and lo and behold, people are starting to find mutated vegetables, including...
Where are these from, though?
Near the Fukushima nuclear disaster plant.
Right.
Yep.
I just wanted to know if it was getting carried over farther.
No, it was, I can't remember how close it was, but it was obviously affected by the radiation. So anyway, pretty interesting, but I wouldn't really, no.
I found some tomatoes that looked mutated in my garden.
Yeah, that had like growths on them and stuff. Maybe not quite that bad. The double peaches there, I think that half orange, half green citrus fruit's kind of neat. So, but anyway, it didn't blow my mind, but I could work in the tobacco episode when I talked about it and showed the picture of the tweaked out farm animals. So that was pretty neat. That one was not going to make the cut, but I just had to so I could tip my hat to the tobacco folks. Okay, next one's a little bit more interesting.
Important one here.
Yeah, so rigged voting machines. Is there an election this year, Dan?
Oh yeah.
I don't recall if there is or not. I'll have to look into that to see. So anyway, Treehouse of Horror 19. So those that aren't familiar with Roman numerals, XIX is 19. So did you know that, Dan?
Yeah, you got to subtract one.
Yeah, if it's before it.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
you just got to think about it for a little while.
Yeah. So very good. Anyway, you passed the Roman numeral test. So Treehouse of Horror 19 in 2009 showed, I believe it was the opening credits, showed Homer trying to vote for Barack Obama, but every time he clicked Barack Obama, it switched to John McCain. And he started hammering on it. I think eventually the voting machine turned into a robot and devoured him, and then it moved on. It was like a short clip. So anyway, what's pretty interesting about that is that
it actually happened.
In 2012, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. In 2012, voting machines in Pennsylvania were found to be changing votes from Obama to Mitt Romney. So.
Well, this stuff's been going on
3 years.
lot.
Yeah. So again, is that just the Simpsons writers being astute, knowing for
it's
decades?
Not because did you ever watch The Dead Zone?
Have not.
With that guy, he carries that cane. I can't remember his name. It's an older show. I think it's 2006 or something like that. He's able to touch things and see the future of stuff that'll happen.
That would be cool.
It's a very good show, but in that there was an election with Greg Stilson. He came out with voting machines where when it's that close with the vote, they can flip it. And they had the machine there showing them, hey, if this guy votes this way, we can make it flip for you.
In a close election like yours, it all gets down to margin of error, which our friend here manipulates in your favor. Undetected, of course. The digital equivalent of a hanging chad.
And there's no paper trail.
Only the one we generate.
Oh, because any recount, they wouldn't be able to find enough difference, or the votes were close enough so that it wouldn't.
And that's key too. And it happens a lot in these elections. The vote's always close like that, and they can just
right at the end dump an extra 300,000 votes here, and then you're good, or 10,000 here, 10,000 there, and then the next thing you know, you got what you want.
So this has definitely been fed.
Yeah. So is this the Simpsons just making a mockery of our election system? And they missed John McCain, right? That John McCain was supposed to be it, but Mitt Romney was instead. But anyway,
well, John McCain was the other year, so maybe this was for the other election.
I don't know. Was he? Did John McCain run for president?
Yeah, he was the elect for the other year. I remember that because I've wanted Ron Paul, and both times you had these dingbats win it.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, pretty interesting there, I thought.
For sure.
Rigged voting machines. Next one, moving on. This one, Lisa's Wedding. Sorry. 1995 episode, Lisa's Wedding. This one had a slew of them. This particular episode took place in the future. Lisa was adult. She was getting married. I believe Hugh Grant did the voice of her boyfriend or future husband. But they had a few different predictions here. First one, there was a guy talking into his watch. 1995 now. The internet was just born, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And here's The Simpsons showing somebody talking on their phone. Now, Dan, what are you wearing on your wrist right now?
I got an Apple Watch, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you make a phone call from that?
I can.
Oh, interesting. It doesn't flip up like it in there, but that's pretty good, huh?
A little more convenient.
Yep.
At first, I thought that maybe he was doing a video call, but it is just a voice call, ain't it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then we don't have a photo of this, but I'm gonna interject it here. There was a robotic librarian in this episode too. It was in human form, but it was a robot librarian. Again, the episode supposedly took place in 2010. And actually in 2010, there was the Joe Enrica Mansueto Library in Chicago that was being run, and I'm assuming still is, by an automatic or a robotic storage and retrieval system. So you go in and it tell it what you want. It goes, gets your book, checks it out, hands it to you. So it's not like a Android robot walking around. But anyway, so they do have robotic libraries.
That's interesting to think about because, like when you think about future stuff, I almost think libraries are dead. Because really, with the electronic books now, it's really easy to get what you want.
I think they might be dying a little bit, but libraries amazingly are making a comeback. They're diversifying with like public stuff, craft things, entertainment, things like that.
But still, even me, I actually sold all my books because I didn't want to deal with all the
stuff. I don't know.
Having a nice iPad here have everything on it.
I still like a good book. Something in pages, you can smell it, you can hear it turn it.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's going to die because, Dan, you're younger than me by over a decade, and that might already be that. You talk to a kid these days and like, book what? Screw that.
A big reason why it was like carrying all those books from class to class. It's like if I could have just had it on a little thing like this.
I get it like that. I don't. I totally get that. Like because I remember there's lots of back and neck and shoulder stuff. Oh yeah,
my back was ridiculous.
Yep.
That's probably why my back is
screwed right now, right? Yeah. As you were developing and growing, you always had, weight on one side as you're walking around.
And of course, as a kid, you got to be cool and have the one shoulder, not both of them on.
6 books in there. Yeah. I remember in middle school sometimes where you had to like 2 hands to get the damn backpack up. I don't know. I'm talking about more like books like, something on the shelf at home that you can actually read, like, The Old Man and the Sea, and, Tom Hanks has a really good book of short stories. And anyway, stuff like that where you can go, you don't have to rely on a battery and charging, and stuff, because when the EMP hits, you're not going to be able to access it anyway, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing that I thought was interesting about this episode, again, 1995, they showed a video phone in it. And now, albeit this one's a rotary, a lot of people probably don't know what that looks like, at least the younger kids. But so they had video phones, again, 2010. Do I really need to say anything about that? I mean, everybody's got a video phone now. I mean, I can live chat across the planet with what I'm holding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty interesting, right? That episode got a lot of them.
And that was one of the things, too, that like a lot of people in the tech industry, they thought that you would go into a phone booth and it'd be the video thing there. And like the whole idea was that when you call somebody, you're always going to be on video with them. But now it's like, no, I don't want to like comb my hair and all this crap.
Yeah,
And we kind of got away from that.
Yeah, and it's more like for like relationship building when you have a family or a close group of friends that you'd FaceTime with or something, or Skype. Well, I suppose Skyping is good for making videos like this.
Yeah, you can audio Skype too. But.
Yeah, so anyway, they got some of those that were pretty cool. I thought were worthy of note. Next one, Sweet Seymour Skinner's Badass Song is the name of the episode. It's a 1994 episode. It shows the cafeteria cook. I believe it was like a opening credits. I can't remember exactly. It shows a cafeteria cook putting horse meat in her burgers, in the school cafeteria. 1994. Now, this one to me wasn't too much of a stretch. You always heard rumors of it, but what really broke it open is in 2013, there was a huge horse meat scandal started in like Europe and affected a lot of different beef providers and I guess retailers, like fast food retailers, because Burger King and Taco Bell were affected. They claim only in the UK, but who knows, you know. So basically what it was is that, you know, all of this ground beef was being sold, and as much as 100% of its content was horse meat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, right. Eats them up. So anyway, more of it was like, you know, traces or small amounts, basically cutting horse meat in with the burger to make it go faster. But you know what, though, Dan? From what I hear, you know, nowadays in Europe, eating horse in certain parts of Europe is not uncommon. You can order it right off the menu in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say. Is it really that much different from
no,
like
I think it's
cow
the
or
stigma.
It's, just,
it's like eating a dog or a cat.
Yeah,
Cultures
I was going to say
do
a dog. It's kind of...
Cultures do
it's
it
more
all
of an
over
ethic thing.
Oh, yeah. It's only because we were brought up to view them as pets and stuff. I mean, like, you go to parts of Africa, they eat cats, and, you know, and Asia will eat dogs and maybe cats too. I don't know about that. And in some cultures, they eat horse. And I have a friend who moved to Switzerland, God, I don't know how many, 10 years ago now, maybe more, software engineer, and sees it regularly on the menus. He's had it. He says his favorite, last time I talked to him, it's been years, but he said, yeah, I would prefer a horse steak over a beef steak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And maybe he's just saying that to get my goat. Oh, I get it. Sorry.
And what about a possum?
Think you can handle that?
I never had possum, but you know what? If I had to and hungry enough, I'm sure, you know, if you slow cook it, you know.
I mean, at least that'd be good for something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, horse meat scandal, 2013, Simpsons prediction. Moving on, 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish episode, 1990, mutated fish. Episode shows a fish that was caught in a pond that was contaminated by the nuclear power plant waste. And actually, I know that in some of the intros of The Simpsons, maybe it was later ones, showed a fish jumping out of the water with 3 eyes. And then they interject it. They actually interject it to a lot of different episodes. But this one kind of focused on it.
Can you give me just 4 nuggets?
So in 1990, 4 nuggets, fish nuggets, Simpsons came out. 3-eyed fish. Fast forward 21 years later, 2011 in Argentina, Cordoba to be accurate. An Argentinian fisherman caught a 3-eyed fish near a nuclear power plant, the power generation nuclear power plant in Cordoba. I just want to point out what a generic name for a power plant. Power generation nuclear power plant is the name of the power plant.
At least they keep it easy.
Yeah, right.
So they must have been just like cycling that crap back into the.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were. You know, I mean, they obviously got some radiation out of there they shouldn't have, right? So and there's a photo of it, and actually it looks pretty good representation. Simpsons. Right across the forehead, you know, it's got the trademark Simpsons bulgy eyes, of course, but that was pretty interesting. Lesson of the day here, man, and I think we knew this from sci-fi movies back in the 70s anyway, is that you just don't mess with stuff that grows around nuclear power plants.
I'd like to ask Galen Windsor about this one.
Right.
The guy who swam and ate the nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
See what his excuse would be.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, he would go swimming in the cooling ponds or whatever.
So I don't know.
And he would eat what would he eat? He'd, the black powder.
The uranium.
Is it radioactive? Yeah, it is. Do I qualify as a controlled drain? That material that I just ate is not soluble in body fluid.
This could be just an anomaly, like a 2-headed goat or a cyclops goat.
Yeah,
so
could be. Right?
I don't know.
We should go down to Argentina on a fishing trip. We've been looking for a Talk is Cheap episode to do a travel episode. Let's go on a fishing trip in Argentina.
Again.
See if we can catch some 3-eyed fish down by the power generation nuclear power plant.
I'm sure they go for pretty good on the market, right? They'll probably pay top dollar for that.
Oh, are fish eyes? Are fish eyes a delicacy anywhere? Look at that. You get 50% more fish eyes with that fish. All righty. Getting down there. Next one we're going to talk about, Dano. Higgs Boson. You're familiar with the Higgs Boson, right? The God particle.
It's a little above my pay grade.
Yeah, mine too. Like more than a little. But you've heard it. You've heard of it, right? It's the God particle. It's going to give us, time travel and healing. I don't think anybody said that, but anyway. So, Simpsons. Homer has moments of brilliance. I didn't look this closely. It's The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace. I bet you this is the episode where he shoves the crayon up his nose. I didn't look that closely. But anyway, there is an episode where he shoves a crayon up his nose.
Experiment?
How did he get it in there? It was an accident that he got it in there, but it rammed up in his brain and it made him a genius.
Oh.
And anyway, they adjusted it by pulling it out, pushing it in. They could adjust his intelligence anyway. 1998 episode, Homer doing some mathematical equations. Apparently, again, this is above my level a little bit here. I can't even remember what the Greek letters are called up there. According to Simon Singh, an astrophysicist, he's like a science fiction writer, and he's a particle and astrophysicist. Simon Singh says that this equation predicts the mass of the Higgs boson. If you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered. That one's interesting, huh?
Just like,
Like, okay, so Dan, can you toggle between, okay, so we've got Peter Higgs. I think he looks like Chevy Chase holding up this Higgs boson equation. Dan disagrees with me, doesn't say it looks like Chevy Chase. I think it does. Let's hear about it in the comments. That it could be. If it's really Chevy Chase, I'm a little disappointed. But so anyway, there's the equation for the Higgs boson. Allegedly, I couldn't tell you. If any astrophysicists are watching, please chime in. And then can you go back to the Homer equation? It doesn't really look the same, Dan, does it?
No. Yeah, we were looking at that, and I don't see any donuts on the other screen.
Yeah, right, yeah. So anyway, if this is true, this is pretty impressive, man. Somebody scrawled something on...
But we are not good at equations, so maybe there's something here that's similar, and we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
There's no words there. There's no words on it.
So...
Yeah, I don't know. There's no words on it. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting one. Next one we're going to talk about is been in the news. It's going to be in the news for a while. The coronavirus. Some people claim that the 1993 episode of the Osaka flu. It's the Osaka flu episode. It was spread from Japan, not China, but they are claiming that they predicted this. And so, the premise was that people were getting sick in Japan. The news picked it up, said that this new virus was going to go around and kill everybody. Homer freaked out, wanted to order a juicer to get healthy, or this new juicer that he wanted. Person in China packing the juicer coughs in the box, spreading the germs in there. And then Homer gets it home, opens it up, and gets infected. And other people in Springfield had ordered the juicer. They all got sick, and then it went on from there.
And that's interesting because I got my Apple Watch. It came from China during this whole crisis when this Corona thing is going on. Shipping and then yeah.
Well, the good news is, if you want to believe like the World Health Organization,
the WHO?
Who? Yeah, you're right. Who? He's on first, right?
Who's on first?
It's who's on first, right? Who's on first?
Who's on second?
No. What are the other ones?
What's the matter?
It doesn't. Thanks, Arnold. So anyway, it's pretty interesting. Again, a little bit of a stretch, but it's coronavirus time. It's coronavirus season, Dan. I wanted to talk about it.
And that's when you're supposed to crack open a Corona on the show.
Yeah, yep. I should. I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about it, Dan. Sorry. Well, the good news is we'll have other opportunities to do that, I'm sure, on future shows. There was one other thing I wanted to mention about this, and it's escaping me. And It's gone.
That was worth a shot, right?
Oh God! It was going to be.
What brings you to hedonism that many times?
It was going to be a really good point too. Oh well. Okay. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about. Another thing that's in the news a lot, Dan. And I think this is probably the piece that everybody is most familiar with when it comes to Simpsons predicting the future. 2000 episode, a full 16 years. I'll say, 14 and a half because there was some, campaigning time. Before Donald Trump was even on the scene as potential president, Simpsons predicted he would be elected. I believe, again, it was in 2010 was the episode took place, but we're going to give him a grace period here of an election cycle or two, okay? What's interesting about them predicting Trump as the president is how accurate a couple of the scenes in the episode actually were. So Dan's got queued up a side-by-side here, and we're going to just take a minute or two and just watch through this a couple times. And
so for those listening, it's the escalator, the famous escalator shot, going down the escalator, Trump Tower. Now Trump, in the Simpsons episode, waves with his right hand and sticks his thumb up with his left. And in real life, that's exactly what he did.
And what else is interesting is look at the guy for those on the podcast. Sorry again. There's a guy holding a paid sign or a note sign. See this guy up there on the left, and he drops the sign of the note. See the guy holding the sign that says note, and he vote. It says vote. Excuse me. And watch it. He'll drop it.
Oh.
Now look to the right and watch the guy holding the yellow sign there. See the yellow sign gets dropped on the right one. We just can't see how it falls. The yellow sign on the right.
Yep.
And then the guy holding the sign almost in the exact same position in the cartoon or in the animated series drops his sign.
And then you also pointed out, I was like, well, Melania is not there, but Homer does have a white shirt on. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And Melania's wearing a white top.
But how do you get the hand movements the same?
Yeah, that's crazy. And the sign falling. How does that work?
It's almost like scary when I think about it.
Yeah, and then there was other things in that episode too. The podium shot, right? I saw it flash up when we were looking for the. Here's showing some stills from the elevator or escalator scene, excuse me, and then later on at a press conference, I'm assuming it is. And Dan, you pointed this out too. Is like even the signs, font, and everything. It's blue with white lettering with the red stars across the top.
It's missing 2 stars because he's got 5.
5 there. He's got the red border on it. And of course, instead of Make America Great Again, the Simpsons one says America could be my ex-wife, which is pretty freaking funny. Look at the flag positions. They're even like unfurled, almost identical. Not quite, but that's uncanny.
It can happen.
They hit a home run with this one, Dan.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. When you sit and think about that,
how do you get that close?
And you said what was it? 2000? So 16 years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, 16 years, 15 years. I think this was for when he was campaigning. This was taken before.
Congratulations.
Before he was actually elected president. But it's right arm goes up with the wave, left arm comes out with a thumbs up on both the cartoon and in real life.
Yeah, because I knew about this, but I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, whatever. But when you showed the hand movement and that they were like the same, it's like, oh, okay, now, yeah, who knows? And then this goes back to the whole, remember I showed you with Fox News with Trump saying the future president signing that book?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
So,
yep.
Looking Glass. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, tie it back to So maybe some of these were coincidence. Maybe they are getting fed some information from the government official or some entity that's got a looking glass, and maybe it is this predictive programming. But something's goofy going on with The Simpsons, and it might not even be Matt Groening. Maybe it's the writers and animators. Somebody in there's got,
or they're getting fed from somebody.
Yeah.
You say you would do this episode.
Yeah, and you feed it to a writer or an animator, and they run with it, and maybe a bunch of stuff doesn't get cut.
It really makes you wonder how much we're in control of our lives.
Yeah, it does. Well, it makes me wonder too, what other stuff in the episodes of The Simpsons are predicted that we just don't know about yet.
Oh yeah,
they're still making episodes of The Simpsons, man. So pay attention. I'd actually maybe go back 5 to 10 years and start watching those episodes again. See if you're picking up anything that would pertain to today's situations.
I'll do the next best thing.
Good. But when I started the show, Dan, I said there was like one thing that really made me want to do this. And I'd come across this a while ago, and it was this picture of Trump with the Saudi prince standing with her hand on the globe. Allegedly, it was from 2002, but then there was a side-by-side picture of the exact same scene in 2015 or something like that. That was another one of these, like, it was kind of like the escalator scene. It's like, how could they get that close? Well, unfortunately, this one, which made its rounds, it went viral, and I didn't realize where the origins of it, but this one was actually from a short clip that the Simpsons had put on their Facebook page, like 3 or 4 days after the visit Trump actually made, where the photo was taken. So they did copy the photo in this case.
Well, that's good to know.
So this one is debunked. If you Google it, you can see the side-by-side comparisons, and that was like uncanny. That one floored me, and it was like, oh, I got to do that. I got to talk about that. Looking at that a little bit. So what's ironic about this is the one that really sparked my interest in it to want to look into it more was the one that was debunked.
It's good to cover. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled on it. So my guess is there's more coming. Oh, I bet you we've got some viewers screaming right now. What about the Kobe Bryant prediction? So supposedly they predicted the Kobe Bryant crash. What I found out was that that there was like some cartoon or something that showed Kobe Bryant loosely dying in a helicopter crash. That wasn't the Simpsons. I didn't really pursue that much.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of fell under another one of the realm where somebody kind of grabbed something and ran with it, and I didn't think it was worthy to mention. But I am mentioning it now. Again, if you think it's real, let's hear it in the comments, or can you flash my email address up there? Dan, you got that button for that? Email me at this address coming up, 321. There it is. Good job, Dan.
You put me on the clock.
I totally did. I just totally flipped it at you and said, do it. So send me an email there if you disagree with the Kobe Bryant deal.
Right?
Right? Or, do it in the comments. I don't care. Wherever you'd like.
Exactly.
Talk is cheap. Where talk is cheap and cheap is talk.
Talk is cheap.
And talk is cheap.
Thanks for listening. Visit K2D4Network.com today.